Welcome to Viking.TV, and here I am in the beloved world of Highclere Castle or Downton Abbey. And of course we are the real Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey was filmed here over 6 years for the TV series, using all these main state rooms that you can all visit from Viking as well. And then of course this is the third film which has now been made, and we're so looking forward to seeing it this September. It's out on September the 12th, both in the UK and the US, with premieres the week before, sponsored by Viking, which is so exciting. I love those days, and I think you will really enjoy this film, so please go to the cinemas. I thought today we might share the place where some of the most iconic scenes are shot. And of course, these red sofas here play such a big role. And who would have thought red sofas would become famous? From the very first series, Maggie Smith was often standing here, giving her own version of what should actually happen, with her wit and her extraordinary delivery of lines. And on the sofa might be the three sisters or Elizabeth McGovern as Cora. I think this is a real tribute as well to Maggie Smith, because for 15 years she gave us such pleasure as her role in the Dowager Lady Grantham. And so sadly she wasn't here to film the latest film and bowed out in film number 2. How prescient was that? When she died at some 87 or 88 years of age, however, she had been acting for about the last 6 months. So what an icon. You either use it or you lose it, don't you? She was a great person, and she actually began her career much earlier at Highclere in terms of The Secret Garden, which was filmed here in 1995. And I've gathered from one of our guides there might have even been an earlier appearance of Maggie Smith at Highclere. So it's been a tremendous honour to welcome her here. Apart from the library, Downton tended to use the drawing room or the saloon, partly because whilst you had 3 or 4 cast here, there were 40 or 50 crew behind the scenes. So they needed a space for all their kit, their dollies and their trolleys and their black wires, and everybody dressed in bother boots and black puffer jackets because they opened all the windows, however cold it was, because their cables were running in and out, and there were white vans parked all around with generators and cameras and goodness knows what, gaffers as well, and holding things up to the window to change the light and taking it down again. So it was a real sort of technician's dream, I suppose, if you stepped in here with just a corner of this beautiful room in which the scene was being filmed. And there you'd hear the words, action, silence, rolling, and then at the end, cut. You'd think it was perfect, but they do it several more times because everything had to be just so. And out of a 13-hour filming day, 11 hours on set, they just get 4.5 minutes on television for all of you to enjoy. So it's been an extraordinary joy to think that Viking sponsored Downton Abbey on PBS in America, extraordinary partnership, and then of course my friendship with Karina Hagen for all those years as well, and how it's come together, so that all you Viking guests are so welcome here to Highclere, and I hope you'll continue to come for many years yet. Now let's go and see another room where there's even more things happening in Downton Abbey. Geordie and I are so often asked, why was Highclere Castle chosen to be Downton Abbey? I think there are many answers, but the first of them perhaps lies in this very room, the saloon, because this is the heart of the castle. Downton Abbey called it the Great Hall. It's got this fabulous ceiling, the height, but what it does is the geography of the house and all the major family rooms lead off this saloon. So when you're sitting watching it at home on TV or you go to the cinema, you think you know where you are. And in one corner is the green baize door, which goes down to downstairs. So the writer and creator Julian Fellowes is trying to bring upstairs and downstairs together. Not everybody upstairs is bad or good, and the same goes for downstairs. Each character is allowed to come forward and go away as what happens, the challenges in life takes them through the story. So this room is really useful, and I think one of the strengths of Downton Abbey is the sense of place. And then behind me to one side is the great staircase with the tower above it. And so many visitors, Viking guests included, want to walk down the stairs. Actually, probably never up, it's always down, isn't it? But in any case, think who's walked down the stairs. Not just Hugh Bonneville as Lord Grantham with his dog and Lady Mary, but also the late Queen Elizabeth II, Disraeli when he was Prime Minister, Salisbury, Howard Carter, Henry James. I could drop so many names. I think I'm doing quite well. But what a staircase. And it's lovely walking down steps in time, in place, with a sense of history and heritage, but with a blend of modern storytelling. I love this room, and I love it because of the light which comes down from above through the leaded windows, whether it's raining or sunny. But, of course, in Downton Abbey, they blacked out the whole of the ceiling, which meant that living here was a little bit more depressing. They put a great big light balloon above, so the light was consistent and constant the whole time. And one of their main challenges was actually to black out the windows above the staircase, because the light changes through the day and they might be filming the same scene 9 o'clock in the morning, and then as the sun sets at 7 o'clock in the evening on an early summer's day. So it never quite worked unless they had consistent light, because they were saying the same line time and time again. Some of our furniture they used. Our lights are a little bit modern, so they tended to put fluffy lights over the top of them. But other than that, they changed almost nothing bar 2 paintings. And the paintings are of my parents-in-law in the front hall, because my pa-in-law is wearing a green V-necked jumper, which was not particularly of a period of 1912. So other than that, everybody stayed. So that's wonderful, isn't it? And they even opened the house to do a tour of this in Downton Abbey. But at that point in time, I asked them not to pretend Geordie's ancestors were Lord Grantham's ancestors, because these men and women actually lived real lives, and their legacy and their children and great-grandchildren are really important to stay true and authentic. So that's why they muddled this all, and no one seemed to know anything. But that was, I think, the only little debate we had on that point. This room had a big set piece actually in the second series in World War I, when there was a concert in here. There was dancing with the staff, there was dancing and balls at other times. I can't think how often it was used. It's in, I think, every single series. And I hope you enjoy walking through here when you come. It's a beautiful room, very medieval, very English, and very inspiring. Most of the action in Downton Abbey is walking in and out of a doorway, isn't it? But of course, this room was very famous for Maggie Smith's comment on the chandelier, which she found hugely glaring, as if she was on the variety stage or something like that. Looking at the chandelier, you can actually see it used to have candles in it, because it's wired outside the beautiful scrolled metal. Now, of course, it has lights, and what's more, LED lights. And actually that was something they did change in Downton Abbey, because they didn't have LED 100 years ago, and it was slightly more yellow, which I think I'd probably prefer, but these draw so much less power. That's really good. There are 365 pieces of cut glass on that chandelier. Quite lovely. During filming, we actually took down that beautiful bottom pendant, always worried that a lighting boom might just catch it swinging through. So that was about the one thing we removed in here. When they're filming, often it's safer to leave some of the china in place, because moving it to and fro, one of us might drop it. That always scares me. So this drawing room, again, played many roles in Downton Abbey through all the series. Again, I think the lampshades here changed to more ones of a time, and these just let a bit more light through. And then there's the mantel shelf, very famous, because in one of the promotional scenes, Hugh Bonneville was standing here, looking very dapper, with a water bottle. So everybody said, that's not in sync with the time. But in fact, it was so successful, and that particular promotion shot went completely viral. So sometimes you might say there's only good news, there's no news but good news. I'm not so sure about that, but it certainly worked for them with that. In fact, this is a truly beautiful mantel shelf, which I think may have come out of Château de la Tuileries a long time ago. That is now gone in the Tuileries. But this is a wonderful French marble mantel shelf, which I think may have come from the Château de la Tuileries. It's definitely been here since about, 1830-40, because it was here before the fourth Earl was a boy. And the wall hangings are silk, and they're a copy of the Chambre du Dauphin's wall hangings in Versailles. So it's quite a French room with wonderful gilded paintings. It's lovely, isn't it, with a spectacular clock, which again was here. One of the challenges in Downton Abbey were the clocks, because if you keep stopping and starting them, it really breaks their action. So sometimes we would actually stop the clocks for 6 months, so time stood still, and then restart them after Downton had gone. The fireplace is real, but in Downton Abbey they keep a fake fire going, because it always had to be the same level, and they were filming throughout the day. So there was lots of tricks behind the scenes. And again, this was a favourite room, particularly for the ladies to film in. We've got less chairs today because when visitors come here, we need more space to welcome visitors, including, of course, our privileged access for Viking. But in the corner over there, it's actually really nice to create a little seating space, which Downton Abbey did. And I think they played cards in here. And I remember they were asking me for some cards of a type for that time. And because I have to move everything around for when Downton move in here, I can never find anything. So I was busy trying to find bridge score pads and goodness knows what. And by the time I found them, we've all forgotten what I was looking for, and they figured out a different way to do it. So you spend your life going round in circles. This lovely drawing room played its part again in the third film. And I hope it also takes the world by storm, like the first film did, which came out at the same time of year. It's for all the family to watch, and I think it'll be fun as it rolls through the autumn and into Christmas. Happy watching.